Look at this beauty right here. So if you've been following me on my Instagram or like the YouTube shorts and stuff, you've been seeing me talk a lot about thatch. So I'm going to tell you everything I know about thatch, which is not a whole lot, and kind of how I got into this situation and what I'm doing here. Okay, we're just going to go over that. Now, in the next video, you see, I'm going to kind of give everybody a detailed run through of the grass I'm going with on my entire property, kind of why I'm doing that and all that. And then the video after that will actually be kind of a start to finish renovation process. And probably just do this one back here. Probably not gonna film the area around my house. If I'm being completely honest, it's just the videos aren't getting enough views. So, you know, I hate to be a sore loser. I really, really do. But if the time I spend filming and editing and all that, and the amount of views it gets, and it, you know, if those two don't correlate together, then honestly I'm just wasting my time. And I know you don't like to waste your time, and I'm not going to waste my time. So I apologize for that in advance. If you know you want this part of the yard filmed around the house and want to see it and all, maybe when I get it all done, you'll see some videos of the mowing or whatever. But right now the views just aren't up there enough for me to spend time filming all that and editing it. I can just get the work done and go hang out with my boys and play golf or something. So let's get right here in a good spot and let's examine this, and let me show you what I'm calling thatch. Okay, obviously you have a layer of, let me get in the camera, you have a layer of dead turf here. Okay, like you pull this out, you'll find the crown of the plant down in there. Then you'll find a little bit of the root system. Look, like, see this coming out. Whoop, it broke. You can kind of see that little root coming off of it right there. See if I can get this to pull out. That thatch layer is so incredibly thick. You can see this little root hair right here. All right. But the rest of this, now you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but the rest of that dense, thick material right in there, every bit of that is thatch. Now look, there are some root hairs mixed in this, okay? You see those little root hairs sticking out there? But the rest of that stuff is thatch, okay? I might be totally and completely wrong. I may, but what I'm calling thatch is that. Now look, when you rub it like that, look, there is some dirt down in there, okay? Rub it, get this, let's rub this and get the dirt worked out. So when you get that little bit of dirt left out, you see all this brown in here? Those are not roots of the grass, okay? And that's not dirt. That is what I'm calling thatch. And again, might be wrong. I don't think I am though. Look at that, just a thick matting of it. And typically your thatch layer is going to grow on the dirt and separate kind of the green part of the plant and the top of the dirt. That's kind of where the thatch is going to be at. And I'm going to tell you what, I got a bunch of it out here. So to my knowledge, what causes thatch? One is the actual different turf types are more prone to thatch or create thatch, or you know, more I can't even think of the words I'm trying to use, susceptible to thatch, maybe the right word. And in this case, this was all Kentucky bluegrass, and it is one of the more thatchier grass types. It may even be the most thatchy. Now, not talking about warm season, you know, to my knowledge, I think zoysia is a pretty thatchy turf as well. And some Bermuda varieties, like maybe 419, that's a pretty thatchy turf. But it's been my experience that those grass types can handle the thatch considerably better because it's a much tougher plant, okay? You can't hardly kill zoysia. Well, zoysia you can probably kill it, but you can't hardly kill Bermuda, okay? So I know if 4 applications of Roundup triclopyr glyphosate aren't going to kill Bermuda and it comes back, I know a little thatch ain't going to kill it. So with bluegrass being one of the more thatchier plants, one thing that can add to that thatch is over fertilization, more nitrogen. And it can't, to my knowledge, it can't break down in the plant, use up the nitrogen fast enough. So that aids in the conversion of thatch is the way I understand it. So is that the case here? Well, absolutely not. This bluegrass has never gotten more than about 2.5 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 for the entire year. Okay, so that's way less than the fescue, which gets about 4 pounds, and much less than my Bermuda, which gets around 5 or 6 pounds per year. So I don't think the nitrogen aided or made the thatch worse here just because I ain't put a whole lot on it since I've had bluegrass back here. What I do think is bluegrass is just a naturally thatchy plant, okay? And it's just not a lot of ways around it unless you do a couple of things. And if I were going to have another stand of bluegrass, which when we get out to the farm, I will have some bluegrass out there. So you will see this in the future once we get moved out to the farm, and once I get all my little test plots planted and that kind of thing. We will for sure have bluegrass and fescue and rye. So cool season guys, I'm not throwing you under the bus. We will still have some cool season grass out at the farm. But what I would do differently managing Kentucky bluegrass, and personally, after seeing this much thatch out here, I really think that's why it struggled in the summer. I think if I would have done these management practices, if I would have known to do these management practices, I think the bluegrass out here during the summer, it would have held on a heck of a lot better. And the main reason is water penetration, okay? That's a thick layer of thatch right here. It's almost 1 inch thick, and it's just very difficult for my simple irrigation system water to penetrate that and get down into the ground, into the dirt, and be where it needs to be to keep the ground moist. Obviously, you get a bunch of rain, it's going to push through, okay? And that's why the bluegrass would kind of flush after a good rain. But my irrigation, I'm almost thinking it didn't hardly do anything because of this thatch layer. So what I would do differently is, number one, during the growing season, which would be April to, say, September, something like that, April to September, I would more than likely verticut the bluegrass once a month. And a verticutter, you've seen me use it on my ball fields, my big trilo. It has these discs that are upright, and it's vertical mowing. You know, they turn like this, not like a rotary like this, but they turn at you like that, and they cut down. It's kind of like a slice seeder, and they cut down into the ground, cut these little grooves in the ground that you can see. And what that will do is open up the thatch layer, okay? Thin out the thatch layer and open up the thatch layer, and then let, of course, water and whatever stuff you're putting on the yard get down in the ground where it needs to be. Second thing I would probably do is probably 2 or 3 times during that course of that growing season would be to core aerate. Now, core aerating, you're going to pull out a little bit of dirt with the thatch, but core aeration will remove some thatch. Granted, it's not going to remove as much thatch as verticutting. It will remove some. So those really are the 2 things that I would probably do different, knowing what I know now. knowing that bluegrass is this thatchy of a plant. At least it is here where I live, growing in the condition in my yard. It's just a overly thatchy plant. I've talked to some folks that are way smarter than I am and grow bluegrass on a much bigger scale than I do, and they all tend to say the same thing I'm saying, that bluegrass is just an overly thatchy plant. It is what it is. It's a characteristic of it. And as far as liquid dethatchers and all that kind of thing, personally, ain't no liquid going to do anything for that. I just don't think it would. But mechanical verticutting will most certainly do something for it, and aeration as well. But again, verticutting being the more aggressive route to remove more thatch. So, I mean, honestly, that's about all I know about it. Really and truly, I grow, majority of the turf we grow with the company is fescue, and fescue is not an overly thatchy turf. So, you know, I don't really deal with it a lot. So I really haven't had to learn a lot about it or whatever. So, you know, the bluegrass has been a new kind of thing for me for the last 4 years. So it's definitely been a learning curve, and I've learned something here too. You can see that big old pile right there. That's about a quarter of what the pile was. The pile was absolutely massive, and I took my Ventrac with a power rake and went backwards and kind of used it like a sod cutter in a way. I just barely set the height of the head unit right at dirt level. So really I haven't gotten into any dirt. It was just kind of skimming the thatch and the turf off. And then I just took my tractor and pushed it all up in a big pile, and I'm loading it up and hauling it off. Good thing is that the place I'm hauling it to is about 5 minutes down the road. Guy's got a big hole he wants to fill in, so that worked out good. And I didn't have to haul it all the way to the shop. I know some folks on the comments I've been seeing on Instagram and the YouTube shorts is, man, that's a humongous job. That's a lot of work. One guy said, wow, what a disaster. Well, yeah, in a way, I agree. But also, I've got about 4 hours of my time invested to get the yard to the way you see it now. So it absolutely pays to have the best equipment that you can have, because between the Ventrac and my John Deere, my 4075, this job has went lightning fast. And for 4 hours work to get all this up, I mean, you know, that's, for me, that's just a piece of cake. So don't forget, next video we'll talk about what I'm going to do to my yard as far as turf type goes. And yes, the main yard around the house, I am going to do the exact same process right here, because whether you're sprigging, sodding, or seeding, any three of those, if you try and put that on top of this thick layer of material, it's just not going to do well. It's just not, because you're asking the root system of the seed, the sprig, or the sod to work its way down through. Look at this. Look at how that's how hard I have to stick my finger through it to bust through that layer right there. And you want a root system to grow through this? So in order for me to make this yard into a primo yard again, I have to get back down to the dirt. And that's why I'm removing it. And I'm going to remove every bit of the turf, thatch, sod, dead grass, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to remove every bit of it out of my yard too. And you know, I graded this after that one. You know, I done that renovation up there 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, before I met you on YouTube. And of course, you've seen the renovation back here on the back. But at the time I renovated that yard, my main yard, my skill level on grading was not as good as it is now. And I most certainly did not have the same equipment that I have now. So by removing all that dead grass completely and getting it back down to dirt, I'll be able to regrade that part of the yard and get it butter smooth, just like this part of the yard back here. So yeah, that's the main reason I'm removing that. One, so I have success with the sod seed sprigs I'm going down with, that it'll actually take, because it's going to be on dirt and not laying on dead grass and a thatchy layer. I'm actually expecting a lot of thatch in there. Even though that's predominantly fescue, it's a ton of bluegrass mixed in with that fescue, and I am expecting a buttload of thatch dead material to come out of my main yard as well, simply because it's got all that bluegrass in it. So there you go. I'm gonna get to work and get this done. I'll check you later. So I totally forgot to say this in the video, and it's a very, very, very important thing that is misunderstood a lot. Grass clippings are not thatch. They're two totally, completely different things. Grass clippings break down pretty quickly. Thatch does not. Let me repeat myself one more time. Grass clippings and thatch are two separate things. So if you bag your grass, you're not necessarily protecting yourself from thatch. If you're discharging your clippings, you're not adding to the thatch. Okay, I want to make sure that's completely straight. You can look up on college universities, their scientific lab or whatever you call the thing, and so many of them on there say grass clippings and thatch are different. They are not the same thing, which I knew that, but if you don't take my word for it, just go do your own homework and go to some of these turf grass university websites and look it up for yourself.